allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion for the consent agenda, please.
I made a motion to accept the consent decree as written.
Second it? All in favor? And, let's see, the next Board of Selectmen's meeting will be Monday, March 9th, 2020, 5:30 at the West Bath Town Hall. There will also be a workshop concerning roads maintenance featuring, but not limited to, the winter roads maintenance contract that we want to put out to bid as soon as possible. And that is going to be Monday, March 2nd at 5:30 at the West Bath Fire Hall. Because we're hoping that as many people as would like to make comment will come and make comment. This is a place for us all to be, we all have concerns about the roads, the one thing in town we all use. So I hope people will come and participate, find out what's going on, and add their 2 cents or even 5 cents worth. Is there public comment? Hearing none. Business items? Road workshop agenda. Is there anything to add to that?
Is there anybody in particular you would like invited to that meeting? Do you want me to make some phone calls to?
Who do we typically have that submits bids for consideration? They should probably be there to hear us.
I do have a mailing list for our regular local bidders and people that are typically interested. So I have sent out that email, and I'll send out another reminder email as it gets closer.
Okay. Do you want a formal agenda for this meeting with, so that we can stay on track with different items? Or do you want to focus on the winter contract, or how do you want this to
I think the focus,
roll?
because we're trying to get the bid ready to go out, the focus will be the winter roads contract, but I know we're also trying to come up with a sensible way to manage the maintenance of all the roads year-round. So, and I would be surprised if there were people who didn't have ideas about what might be done better, differently, new technology, old technology.
You want to round shovel by hand.
See anything new on the Salino Road?
It works, I mean, we haven't had enough rain, but it looks, I mean, the water's so low right now that it's draining much better. Apparently there was a handmade waterfall years ago that may have been part of our culprit
Oh, downstream?
downstream.
Our water teacher,
Yes, and I like to hear the trickle.
who doesn't?
So I was intrigued, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That could have been a contributing factor to
Yeah, would make a
a
difference.
major road repair.
So when is the bid going to be approved for Salino?
Can't remember the
Bids are
date.
due
The
the
6th?
Thursday before, the Thursday or Friday before our selectmen's meeting, and they'll be approved at the
Yeah.
next selectmen's meeting.
In March?
Yes.
Yeah, in March.
Yeah.
So I think they're actually due, I'm trying to remember, I think
Say
the
the
5th, 5th or 6th. And then they'll be approved at the selectmen.
Have they gone out? They haven't gone out yet, right? The bids?
Oh, yes, they have.
Yeah, they've been out for a while, right after our last selectmen's
We
meeting.
actually
I saw
have a
it in the
link
paper.
for bids on our website.
Yeah, it was in the Times Square.
Missed it.
What?
They'll still let you submit one.
Yeah.
I definitely saw it.
It's gone out, and, so we'll approve it at least if
Nice.
if it's, anywhere near reasonable.
Has anybody picked up packets yet?
Not from this office, but they're available from Pine Tree Engineering as well.
So we should have a firm and fast figure for the town meeting warrant. So that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Town,
We have a hearing.
oh, sir, I'm sorry.
No problem. Just as a possible backup plan for the Sabino Road incident, for the project, I know we had an incident a while ago with culvert replacement, trying to get it in under maintenance and repair, and there was some confusion along the way, and I clarified that today with Army Corps as well as DEP. We can actually replace the existing culvert that is there under maintenance and repair, period. So we don't have to have a redesign actually done to ensure the culvert through there. If we do it under the standards, we can replace what's existing. And as long as we're not disturbing anything within the wetland area, we could raise that thing up 10 feet if we wanted to, without design and $100,000 culvert.
Do you have that in writing?
Yeah, it's right on their website, anyway, the Army Corps as well as DEP. I think the folks that we may have interpret that may have been incorrect.
Well, that's an interesting perspective.
It is.
Because the details were very specific that were posted.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's why I was just here to make a backup plan. I'm not saying, so I guess what I'm getting to is 30 years ago, we're gonna go into the long thing, I guess. We drove rods down on the edge of the road of Sabino Road, we found the same thing Pine Tree Engineering did, is there's no bottom, right? So then we came up with the idea of we had an idea engineered to put a box culvert in there, and we asked the question, what's gonna happen with all the weight? And who's responsible if it fails, and in turn, it's gonna be the town of West Bath, right?
It's our road.
Right. So therefore, instead of possibly going into $300,000, $400,000, maybe $500,000 on a major repair, is there another possible avenue? 30 years ago, there was some geomat laid down, put some sand, gravel, and it was repaved. You know, I don't know how much it would cost nowadays, $150,000 maybe, with a new culvert in there to sand. But it's an option.
I thought didn't we just do a replacement of that culvert?
No.
No.
But with the federal match, do we also have to go by some of their?
If you use their money, but
Yeah.
if it's a $500,000 project and you have a $90,000 grant, right, you still have to pay out $300,000.
Right.
If it's a $300,000 project, you got on the hook for $200,000.
Right. So,
Well, they changed it, they went from the box culvert because they didn't think there was a chance that it wasn't gonna be made ready in time. There's only 2 manufacturers that can do it,
Yeah.
supposedly. So they went to a different design anyway.
gotcha.
That's my understanding, is that, does anyone else, did you know? all
That's
of
what
that?
it said.
So
That's
it's
what I
almost
heard, that's what I heard
I just
too.
wanted to confirm that I wasn't the only one hearing that, but
Yeah.
so that I think reduced time and cost.
Okay. I actually, to be honest with you, I haven't looked at the new plan, but I'm just letting you guys know that there is an alternative if we decide to go another route. And I'm sure that some of the local contractors in the town would be more than willing to help out to make it happen. But that's completely up to you folks.
Well, I think we've got the bid out there, we need to get them back in, see
Right.
what the cost is gonna be,
Yeah.
how much the feds are
But
putting in.
but this may affect the bid process also.
Right.
Very different.
Well, you can
Well-
accept or reject any and all bids, right?
Right.
Right.
So
Even
say,
if they're not bidding on a different.
Well, no, but they
No.
wouldn't.
This bid has to be accepted or rejected.
Right.
And if there were an acceptable alternative, then we could reject that and do Plan B.
correct.
That
If the
would be,
bid comes in relatively decent and the Fed match is gonna be more than what we're gonna pay, maybe a good deal.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
it flip-flops, we may
Right.
need to approach.
Do you have a name up there Jeremy?
I talked to, Leanne Neal, is Army Corps of Engineers. And,
Do you think she'd be comfortable putting that specifically in writing, that it was?
I'm sure she would, but it's black and white. I mean,
It's never black and white,
in the
so.
description.
That's, I just wanna cut, I mean,
Yeah.
between that, have the town attorney bless it, and
Well, I,
before we
Before we,
consider.
before we go herring off into bizarre directions, interesting though they may be, we have a bid package out.
Yeah, we need
Let's
to wait
follow
for that to
through
come
with
full
that.
circle.
well, no, I don't think we need to wait for the bid package to at
To
least
at
explore
least
this.
explore it and get
In
it.
the meantime, Christine, would you check with Ms. Neal
Yes.
and get specifics and find out, confirm Jeremy's information, and then perhaps in the meantime, we can have a conference with you and Jeremy, and maybe we can have part of this discussion next Monday night.
And I do think it needs to be in writing, because if it's not in writing, it didn't happen,
Yep.
plain and simple.
Yeah.
I've worked for the state for almost 40 years now. If it's not in writing, it was not said, it was not done.
Well,
We'll go and do it.
Well, the
Maybe there's
reason,
someone who might be interested in it too.
the reason for this is because of the recommendations from the Army Corps of Engineers. That's, because she didn't recommend that we would do it that
I
way.
don't disagree with you, I just think if it's not in writing,
Yep.
it didn't happen.
So what, I guess, what do you want her to put in writing, that she doesn't recommend it?
No,
No,
that
that's-
we met a standard that allows us to alter the road and repair it under a maintenance
Okay.
versus.
So a letter from her, you know,
Yeah.
referencing her title, whatever the title is.
Confirming the
and-
conversation that this actually qualifies for repair and maintenance.
Well, perhaps you should let Stevie know what's,
Yes, well, welcome to the hot seat. Jeremy has, just give us some information, which, because you're now here, Jeremy, would you do it again?
So, Savino Road,
yep,
the Army Corps of Engineer, guidelines state that as long as you're not working in any waterway or in any wetland, you don't need a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers, so.
we already have one.
Right, for the particular permit that we have for scope of work. Well, I guess what I'm getting to is if the scope of work is $400,000 or $500,000, whatever it may be, and the town, you know, is only getting supplemented $90,000 for the grant, then the town still has to come up with the additional amount. Whether the townspeople wanna do that or not, is what I'm saying, there's other options other than what is designed.
That may cost less.
There's always other options, and there are more time and this and that. I mean, we had it engineered, we had a professional do it, that's what he came up with. I realize it's expensive, but he has gone to the shorter cuts, as in going with the steel arch culvert, not a cement box culvert.
Yeah,
He's tried his best to keep the cost down as much as he is, and that's, I don't think the job's gonna go much more than 300,000. And I don't see how you're gonna be able to fix that road as long as they're gonna bring it up as high as he wants, or anything close to it.
well, we've done it for a lot cheaper in the past,
We have, and
so,
we're doing it again.
right, and what do you think's gonna happen to the next one? Is
I
the
know.
culvert gonna suspend itself?
Yeah, it's gonna be on some floating cement pilings.
Yeah. All the way
You
down.
laugh because I think it's right.
I mean, it's been sinking before we've been alive, so
Yeah.
it's gonna continue to sink, so
It has, but
You
I
know,
don't know
you're gonna
if
invest,
anybody's
uh,
ever put fabric down or any of that stuff.
there
in
was,
these
there was
columns.
2 layers put in last time. So, that's what I'm saying, it's gone 30 years, and,
Mhm.
you know, you can do that quite a few times, I think, before you would pay for the install, but that's,
Well, we've also affected the water transfer by dredging. or-
The biggest thing, yeah, that place was just sitting, I mean, there was 3 feet of water sitting on both sides of the road there for the last 5 years.
right,
So that didn't help nothing.
right.
So
But,
I
but it
think-
was portrayed that the culvert could not be replaced under maintenance and repair, and that's incorrect. because it can be replaced under maintenance repair under the statute, as long as there's no other soil disturbed outside the wetland.
Nobody said that.
Yeah, we actually sat here and had a meeting a year ago about it. That there
No,
was,
that
and Dave and I had a meeting with somebody from the state, with Jay, in reference to it, and she spoke to the Army Corps of Engineers supposedly and said that, no, we could not replace that culvert in there, it has to go through design and through DEP, and that's incorrect.
Because we did ask several people, can't you just replace the culvert like you have in the past?
Right,
And they said, no,
right.
you can't do that.
Unless there was an emergency.
Yeah, but
And there wasn't anything that was classified as an emergency at the time. So that's why we came up with the solution that we came up with. And if there's an alternative, then we could look at it. Depends on how, to me, it depends on how the bids come back.
Right.
But in the meantime, I think we should still pursue it.
It's an avenue, it's an
Yeah.
option to
Yeah.
use, and
Just-
something in the toolbox.
If we can get that in writing, then that puts some things in progress for us to
Yeah.
perhaps save money.
Yep.
So, Christine, you and Steve and Jeremy can check this out, and we'll talk about it on Monday, 'cause
What exactly are we checking out here?
he wants to check out whether or not, according to the statutes, he has an opinion from Leanne Neal that the culvert could be replaced without all the other stuff. Is that roughly translated what you're saying?
Correct. That's not her recommendation,
That's
but
not.
it can be done.
But it could be done.
Yeah.
Not the recommendation, but it could be.
Yes.
So Jeremy is proposing that we might want to consider having Plan B in the wind, just in case,
And what exactly is Plan B?
just to replace the culvert under.
We could do that now.
And raise the road up.
Well, that's basically all that's there. I don't
Right.
understand what we're doing here.
Well, you're replacing a 3-foot culvert instead of putting in a 20-foot arch culvert, whatever it may be. I mean, I don't know what he's got spec'd in there, but
And there's a cost difference between the
There
two.
should be.
substantial.
There's also, what he's done is gone by the size of the brook, the intake of the water. People never did this 30, 40 years ago. This guy did his homework. So now you wanna go out and throw back in a 36-inch culvert on all this work, and it hasn't worked in 20 years, but now all of a sudden it's gone?
But the water work that you did should help alleviate the overflow that we couldn't handle.
It will, but what it is, it's a lot more water coming down through there than there used to be. Awesome. The water will get out of there now.
Who is she?
That's part of the problem.
She's the.
90% of the time when that road floods, it's
Consultant for
because
this
that
area.
culvert won't take it, and it goes over the road. Now, what's on the other side of the road doesn't have that.
Right, but the 3-foot culvert also has a 2-foot culvert slid inside of it. So that does
It's
make
got-
a
it's-
bit of a difference,
It does.
so.
So do we wanna fix the road right, or we just wanna keep patching them with little,
Well, what I'm saying is, Steve, is the road has been sinking before we've been alive. So
it's
why
not
do you
gonna
want
sink, it's not gonna sink up there where that culvert is, I guarantee you that, cause it's ledge. There is no peat moss up where the culvert is itself.
Okay.
All your peat moss is from the culvert down beyond, and that's the only place you see that road sinking. There's test pits holes, if you'd like to look at them, for it's been drilled and tested through there,
Yep,
so. I mean, if you want to go, I would
Let's just
suggest
see
something
where the
bigger
bids
than
come
a
in.
3-foot.
right.
And I
Just
think,
get
but also pursue a written approval. And
But it's clear that the road commissioner's recommendation at this time is that we, the preference is for Mr. True's plan.
Well, we hired them, we paid for it. I mean, we gotta make it, other decisions on stuff like this, keep changing things around, and we finally got a move to do something. We're just prolonging the issue to get it fixed.
A well-considered opinion. Thank you. Are we ready to move on to.
Well, I just want to ask Steve, since he just arrived, the board was working on possible agenda items for Monday's road meeting. Do you have anything that you want to talk about specifically so we don't miss it or skip over it? Other than the winter roads contract, which will be the highlight.
I got a bunch of notes I got jotted down, but I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I will
Okay.
let you know.
Okay.
Who's formatting the bid proposal?
Is there already out there?
No, for the salt and sand
Oh,
winter maintenance, who's putting together that format?
The big
My
project.
understanding is it would be based on discussion that happens at Monday's meeting.
Okay,
And then I would probably put something together and have everybody review it.
okay,
Yeah, that's what I'm anticipating anyway.
fair enough. Because I know last time we did we had a format and it was all done. I think the road commissioner wasn't able to look at it or
I think what
something.
we'll do is present a proposal
Yeah,
based on experience, and then the specifics of that proposal can be discussed and amended as recommended, and of course, the final bid will be with the approval of the board and with the road commission. And that's the way it makes sense to do. But I think in view of the interesting events that followed the first contract, it's good to have a little bit wider input than we had the first time we
Sure.
put that out to bid after we had the sand and salt shed. So,
Yep.
And there has not been a lack of interest on the part of the community in having some input, so it's a good idea to have
fair enough.
everybody who wishes can have something to say, and then there'll be a contract made, and then if history repeats itself, even though everybody who wants to can have something to say before the contract goes out, I think it will be a milestone in human history if people don't have something to say after the contract goes out.
That's usually when they speak up.
It kind of comes with a job.
Yeah.
So we'll do our best to put a good contract out, and we'll do our best to make it enforceable, understandable, and agreed upon. And in my other job, I would say let us pray, but that's not appropriate here. Are you ready with the update?
Sure. You'll see a short letter in your packet to Tyler Technologies requesting that Julie be added to the school's software program. I sent this out Thursday afternoon and anticipating a response from Tyler, which we have not yet received. Didn't know if maybe you wanted to add to that, Susanna?
Yeah, I spoke with Michelle about helping to expedite some payment strategies on behalf of the treasurer in the town.
Excuse me, who's Michelle?
She is our salesperson at Tyler Technologies.
Okay.
This is software, and shared some of the things that we could do that would help items that are missed. I know we had a fine on their workers' comp because paperwork was not filed in a timely fashion, and I spoke with Michelle, and if there's a way for the school to scan items in within their system so that we could actually view things in Tyler Technology. So the item that was missing was a workers' comp, I'm missing the term. Someone didn't have to have it because, I don't know blank what it's called, but you could, a waiver, there we go. A workers' comp waiver, that we had not filed, I shouldn't say we had, the school had not filed, on behalf of that person, and therefore they had a fine, with workers' comp. So there's things that we could use as a fail-safe to make sure that all documents are in there, that we have, as a community, what we need to pay our bills properly and on time. And I know, our town treasurer had some issues with completing some tax paperwork for the employees, that things, so if we have access, as a town, into the platform, they would have expedite and make sure that we don't have any issues, which is why I took this on as a project.
So we haven't heard from Tyler.
No, there's been no response as of today.
Their contract is with the school specifically, so they're not directly responsible to us.
No, and I think that's her point. That's why she's probably not responding directly, because she's been working with Emily and the school board, and,
But didn't we have an email from her a year ago saying it was okay to add Julie at the time to the platform?
I don't remember that specifically.
I think
I know that there was
There was a letter, there was a
correspondence.
request, and it was not denied at that time, I'm pretty sure. Based upon some of the emails that I've seen, but we should certainly try and pursue it to just help us expedite, if we can, just paperwork and process here.
Do you have anything to add, Kathy?
It just makes sense to me, if we're gonna be fined and the school, for whatever reason, can't keep up with workers' comp, and we have a treasurer for the town, that treasurer should have access to pay the bills in a timely fashion, so we're not fined. So I would recommend that we keep pushing along with Ms. Richardson. If we can't get anywhere there, can we do something for the attorney, or?
I would hope that we can work through the school board. They are also elected officials, and it's a dicey situation, because they're elected officials, we're elected officials, and this is part of the ongoing difficulty between the two town organizations of government. And I think we need to be really careful about how far we push. We have, at this point, with the instruction for Julie to mail the things as they come in, we have now included the necessary authority to get the bills paid on time. The workers' comp incident was some time ago. It is not a recent event.
So what was the fine, and does it get higher each time we miss the deadline?
That I am not sure. I think the fine was about $700 at that.
$750, and it's
That's significant.
And it just, I think there's a way for us to, have a check and balance to make sure, as we're filing our workers' comp insurance, that the people that are listed should be listed, and the people that should not be listed, we see the waiver. And it's just, I think there's things that we can do maybe a little better.
Don't they usually just re-audit it every year anyway?
Well, and it was caught in an audit, which is what that penalty came from. So that was,
Which could happen
again.
numerous different ways.
So it's just, I think it's a process improvement to help us stay on track.
Well, and it's more than just, that's important, the workers' comp insurance, but just recently getting the tax forms out to all of the employees. Obviously, that has to be done by January 31st. Julie got it a week, 10 days before the end of the month, and there was a glitch where it didn't prove, and she had to go through and ask the school to get her all the payroll documents that she would need to find the error. and explaining to the school what she needed in a way that they could understand, and having the time for them to get that paperwork back. If she had access to that, she could have gone into the system, looked through what she needed, and just pulled it.
She spent 4 days on it.
Oh.
Yeah, which,
So-
when you're waiting to file your taxes, it's
So I think there's things, just
piling
probably,
up on your desk.
But is that Hartford position?
Yeah,
Has
that's,
to do
that
that
would
for
be,
the school? I mean, it seems like above and
Yes.
beyond a lot of work.
no, that is
It's
for,
away from other towns.
for a municipal treasurer in a
Okay.
municipal school. That's inside her purview to, she's required statutorily to do that work.
Because technically the school, the teachers are paid by the town of West Bath.
Yeah, what strikes me about this situation is that it specifically has to do with daily operations, which is something that Emily and I frankly should be required to figure out what we need to do to make this work.
Well, it's just, I think it's.
We do have an elected school board. It's inside their purview to handle issues that arise at the school. And we have an elected select board who deals mainly with other issues.
like, fiscal responsibility.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I think this is something that it would be more effective probably if Emily and I just had to figure out how to hammer it out and make it work.
And we're attempting to do that.
And I
This
don't-
letter is part of that.
And I don't object to that at all. I'd like to see it happen sooner than later, so we don't start paying additional fines, or if people hadn't got
Oh,
their tax
I am-
returns on time.
I understand that. It may be, we may not get access to Tyler. That might not be an end result of this process. That may not happen.
And we were only asking for viewing access.
So
There was no, it was completely transparent. You know, the town treasurer is not gonna go in there and manipulate anything. It's just going in to see what's in the records field, if we need information for the taxes, or if we're getting ready to send in the workers' comp and realize that we've missed some people. Those are things that we can catch prior to having a penalty.
Oh, I understand that.
So we don't need to take any action on this. This is a FYI.
Yeah, it's an FYI, and I want to make sure that everybody's aware of what's happening around this issue.
Are you and Emily meeting at all on a regular basis?
We are meeting, but since Suzanne has taken the lead on this particular issue, she and I have really stopped trying to create new policy around AP and payroll. I think we need to have more clarity around who is going to be dealing with this issue. And I think it should be the administrative staff. And if we fall up short, we'll have to answer to that.
Well, no, I think it's the administrative staff that knows what they're missing and what they need, and I would support that going forward. I think you and Emily do need to be talking, and Julie is
Julie's
a bright
name,
woman, she knows what she needs.
the treasurer's the one who's responsible in signing the checks.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that that's where the responsibility should be.
Okay, so we going forward, are we saying that Christine and Julie are Christine's taking the lead, or how we? It just sounds unclear.
I believe that we have hired Christine to take care of day-to-day operations, and it should be her job to follow this up.
Okay. Just want to make it on the record and make sure we're clear on. Thank you.
Okay, that's good, I appreciate the clarity. Okay, the next item is the list of foreclosures from Julie. These are due to foreclose on Friday, if not paid. You'll see that she wrote little notes next to particular properties saying whether or not they intend to pay or if the bank will pay.
So this one that says old, do not want, does that mean they're relinquishing their rights to this property?
No, I think what she means on that one is that you have been allowing payments. Is
Right,
that
okay.
correct, Carly?
Right.
Correct, she means that the town doesn't want to take it over
Okay.
because
Yeah, so
the
on
condition
that
of the
one,
property would not
Right.
be desirable
Okay.
for
Right.
resale.
and if you don't want to acquire any of these parcels specifically, the treasurer would need direction from this board to allow her to continue to accept payments or whatever your
And this
preference would be.
1465 is foreclosed.
Correct, and he does not want that property. He's actually relinquishing that one.
Okay. And account 1141,
Says new.
Says
when
new.
that is,
That's,
this is one that's going to foreclose on Friday?
yes, and I think what she means by new is that it just hasn't been in this situation before.
Okay.
So we don't know if they want to pay or not.
I don't think she has heard
Yeah.
from them.
Okay.
Right.
And we
Excuse
do
me,
have a question.
I believe I'm on your list, and that's why I'm here this evening. Evidently there had been a registered letter sent to my house, and I'd explained this to Mr. Beal. But I found it in the snow, so it's not that I was ignoring. I would like to have enough grace period till after April 2nd if possible, to pay. I think I owe probably 3 years, simply because I'll turn 65 on the 2nd, and it will save me a lot in penalties. I've since had my 401s and that all combined, and I plan on paying it all at once. I would just like to know if I could have just until after April 2nd, if that's possible.
And you're talking about both parcels, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Yes, no, both parcels.
Yep.
My complete bill.
My understanding is that the foreclosures are automatic by law?
They are automatic, but you can allow the treasurer to continue to accept payments if you want to.
And then you have the ability to quitclaim the property back. As an example, if you made a contingent that upon payment, you could quitclaim it back to her. I know that was
So
done with
if-
Levante
if-
several times.
You agree to let people make payments and they miss a payment, so then we can go right back into foreclosure.
Well, it would remain foreclosed.
It will remain foreclosed,
Until,
okay. Until,
until a quitclaim would be signed
okay.
to whoever.
The town would hold title to the property until it was paid.
Correct.
So there's no way I could just get that short extension, or do I have to try and get that pulled till?
According to
before
Maine
Friday?
law, the town would actually acquire the property.
Can I pay some against it?
Yeah, that's really what they're discussing.
Okay, because I can do that until that clears. I can probably pay about $3,000 or $4,000 against my bill until I can get the rest of the money after the 1st of April.
Does that allow us to put a payment plan in place prior to foreclosure?
We can.
Because I want to get this cleared up as much as everybody
Well, we just
else.
wanna make sure we do it properly.
You would have to sort of dictate tonight what the terms were so that the treasurer would know.
So it won't happen on Friday, so we can
Yeah.
establish a payment plan.
Yeah.
And what are you comfortable doing?
Can I start with 3,000? And then after April 2nd, right after that, I will pay the complete bill
In full.
in full.
Does April 2nd need?
It's my birthday, I turned 65.
Okay,
So
so
it's
say
that,
after
There's a
April
tax.
2nd.
yeah,
So
so that I
otherwise-
don't pay all the penalties for
Right.
taking it out prior to my 65th
But I
birthday.
wanna make sure
Yeah, I'm just
we
trying to
put a
get what
date
you're saying.
other than April, after April
Why don't we
2nd.
say
Oh, yes,
April?
I'll make a phone call tomorrow, I'll get a definite
Okay.
date for you, and we'll have a plan that you will be paid like maybe the week after or
So
so.
are you comfortable saying April 6th, which is that Monday?
Let me check with,
But we need to put a plan in place tonight.
So if we said
If you're
April
liquidating
15th,
assets,
would that-
it's gonna be-
April 15th would be more than enough.
Okay,
So your proposal is that you would pay, the foreclosure date is the 28th. So,
3,000 tomorrow.
Yes, yes,
tomorrow you're prepared?
yes, I
to
will.
pay
I'll get it to you
$3,000.
tonight.
And
By April
that by
15th.
April 15th, the balance would be paid.
In
Yes,
full.
yes,
And at that, once that has been made, then the town, plus fees.
Yep.
It would be plus fees. Once the bill, plus fees were paid, then the town would, offer you a quitclaim deed.
okay. But can't you, I thought you were saying you could hold
If
off
you did the
on it.
payment plan now, would we still do the?
Then you wouldn't have to foreclose on it.
The
We
law-
would have to do the quick claim deed, yes.
The law requires, it's an automatic
Yeah.
foreclosure.
We don't have any,
So I can't set up a payment plan and avoid the foreclosure.
no,
Okay,
no.
understand.
So, on the foreclosure, if she gets caught up within less than 2 years, she pays off the oldest year,
She only has to pay off the oldest year.
and then we don't quit claim,
We still do.
even if she's within 2
Well-
years?
I might be, no. I think I'm wrong. I think she has to pay off the full balance before we quit claim. Because it would be
Do we have to, my
foreclosed.
point is, do we have to go to, if she pays off the oldest year, she's then 1 year less, so no longer in the foreclosure?
No, it would still be foreclosed. It would still be considered foreclosed until the full balance is paid off. And that's only because it went to automatic foreclosure. If it was before automatic,
But that's
Foreclosure.
Friday is automatic, if she pays the year before Friday, does that?
oh, yeah, if she
Full
pays
year
the
is more
entire
than
year
3,000.
before
I can
Friday.
No, that's what I'm getting at, I'm trying to, if she can pay off the oldest year in full before Friday, can we eliminate the quitclaim need?
Yes,
Then I will do
she's
that.
saying that she can't.
No, she just said she could.
I will, I know where I can borrow some funds.
If that is,
It's laid out on there, but
it's 716240.
That's, I do
No, but
that.
that's just for the one property.
That's good.
Oh.
Yeah, I have two.
Property.
And 752.
Yeah,
Roughly $8,000.
Unless you're really sure about those rules, it might be wise to double check them before we make an agreement.
yeah, and I'm sure Julie knows for sure.
That's what I mean, but
and
tonight,
I've checked.
it'd be tough.
But I mean, automatic foreclosure is automatic
That's
foreclosure,
right.
but the selectmen can still direct the treasurer to accept payment.
What,
But the quitclaim deed wouldn't happen until everything was paid off because it would be automatically foreclosed as of Friday.
But if she pays off the oldest year in full, does that eliminate
How much does that add up to?
8,000?
And she's saying she's gonna
I
pay
think-
3,000 by
No, she
Friday.
just said 8,000.
she was
I said I can,
if
I'll
you,
pay the other person back. I can come up with the funds.
Oh, okay, if that happens, then you would avoid automatic
I
foreclosure.
will
That's
find a way to
what I was
come up
trying
with
to
funds.
Okay, I didn't hear that part.
so, in view of the extensive discussion, I think a motion to authorize Julie to make appropriate accommodations subject to the statutes of the state of Maine.
There's a chance this isn't gonna work. You have to check with Julie
But
tomorrow.
that's, I
But we're
understand.
trying to do everything we can to work with
And I understand that and I appreciate it very much.
you. We just don't, we can't break the law. but
I
we're
know.
trying to work with
Oh. I worked with the government too many years, I understand.
Did you get that motion, Carly?
No, sorry.
Okay,
I'm letting her make the motion, and I'll second it.
I move that we authorize the town treasurer, tax collector, to make appropriate accommodations for payment consistent with the statutes of the state of Maine.
to that, in the event that we're not able to come up with full payment of the oldest tax year by the time of automatic foreclosure,
Do you wanna make a contingency plan?
yeah, that
Yes.
she has until April 15th
To pay in full.
to pay in full.
Then,
Because Julie will need to know what to do if that payment is due.
Right. then, let's add that as a contingency.
So contingency that,
Upon April 15th,
It's paid in full.
the entire outstanding balance and fees will be paid in full.
I
so that
appreciate that, thank you very
treasurer
much.
continue to take payments.
We're trying, we'll see, what's right. Hopefully it'll work.
I appreciate it very much.
Suzanne, that was a good catch.
Thanks. I was trying, I was like, wait, there's another way out of
We
this.
have, do we have further discussion? Okay, all in favor of?
I second the motion.
We have
So you
second.
did, okay, so.
All in favor?
Well done.
So just a question, the rest of these individuals have not made any plans with for the treasurer?
Count 1173, two and believes he'll definitely pay. Same with account 269 and 263.
By
Those are people that historically have come in at the.
Yeah.
11th hour.
On Friday.
And just a note for the camera, that, if people are finding themselves in tax difficulty, it is a good idea to come in and talk with Julie so that we don't end up having to, deal with the anxiety of a last minute thing, and God forbid we should have more things lost in the snowbank.
I don't know how, it must have been, stuck on my door, and I don't know, but I did wanted
We got you.
you to know that I understand I have an obligation that I've been lax on.
I appreciate you coming forward, that's not
We're gonna work with you.
easy to do in this
Well,
setting, so.
Thank you all very much, I appreciate it.
Okay. Couple of updates for selectmen's meetings. March 9th, Casella Waste will be here, Erica Bailey from Casella. And she will be speaking on waste and recycling issues and how to use a transfer facility most beneficially. And March 23rd, Trio will be here to discuss assessing related issues.
That's the platform, the payment platform.
That's the
Yeah.
software.
Software.
Okay.
And on Valentine's Day, I was invited to go to the community crew meeting at the school and was presented with that beautiful piece of artwork
Get out of the
that
way so the camera can see the whole thing.
has all of the handprints of the children in the school. It was part of their Kindness and Compassion Day that they do in lieu of celebrating Valentine's Day. Thought it was pretty fun. And I'll read you the statement that they presented. It says, as second graders at West Bath School, we wanted to celebrate the town's 176th birthday. Each member of the school crew traced their hands for a total of 176. Our heart represents how collaboration and being helpful creates a strong community. We hope this gift spreads kindness throughout town and serves as a reminder that it is important to include and help one another. So, that was pretty cool.
Pretty darn nice.
Nice.
Second graders, you
That is-
pretty
that was second meeting in March.
Actually, our second graders are pretty articulate. They are amazing public speakers.
Are you questioning that they wrote that?
No, I thought you were pretty articulate.
Montgomery,
I was impressed.
They are amazing.
And they actually stood up in front of the room and read this.
Second
Well, one of those
grade
is my
Absolutely.
Really? Yes.
Isn't that something?
The West Bath School takes the
No,
old
we know.
standard that we used to call speaking and listening very seriously. And if you would ever go to one of their celebrations of learning, you would see young children being very articulate about their work. It's pretty amazing. It's really incredible.
It's a nice asset to our community. Extremely.
Well,
School, I mean, really it is.
we are going to have citizens who are going to be active and articulate attenders of town meeting. I like that. Do you have anything else?
No, I think we touched on everything.
Okay, we are to other.
I'm ready to other.
All right, take it away.
I announced earlier to the selectmen that we had another incident with a rabid raccoon on Mountain Road. So I just want to take this minute to remind everyone that Pittsburgh is going to be hosting a rabies clinic Saturday at the firehouse, 11 to 2. And then Bath is having another rabies clinic Wednesday, March 4th, a week from this Wednesday, 10 to 1 at the train station. So a couple opportunities to get those animals protected.
And interestingly
They
enough,
are not good humans at this.
I could volunteer for that.
in my research about rabies, who knew I'd ever learn about rabies, not only do you, if you have a dog or a cat, should your pet be vaccinated. If you have a pet ferret, it also should be vaccinated for rabies.
They're not considered rodents.
They are on the list of pets that should be vaccinated.
Speak for yourself.
May I ask which end of Mountain Road? Is it the end that's closest to Hill
I
Road?
didn't get any
No idea
information.
how far away
No.
it is.
I did get, this was from Todd, our animal control officer. He said there was no interaction with any pets or people, but
And on that, I was gratified, last week, Scott Lindsay, who's with the Inland Fisheries, stationed in Gray, reached out to me the other day wondering what was happening in West Bath, and I referred him to Todd as having the most up-to-date information. As far as I know, he's the first person to reach out to anybody from officialdom to reach out to the town of West Bath about the issue. So I want to give him kudos for taking a more proactive activity than we have seen. I've been kind of disappointed. Is there any other?
Yes, the roads will be getting posted this week.
I was wondering about that. Driving to Freeport on Sunday and I saw all these nice red signs. Gee.
They're not nice.
So nice. They're beautiful, it's a lovely red.
I guess they're nice if you don't work in construction.
Well, I suppose that's true. They're nice if you're thinking about a truck going through your road though.
Right. So if you do see trucks that aren't supposed to be there, if you could get a name off them, license plate or something, and
chase them down.
we can follow through with what needs to be done.
Okay.
What do you do?
Well, in the bylaws, we just put a $25,000 fine on it, and they fix the road.
Okay, when
Can
did
you
all
catch
this
them
come
on
into effect?
Sabino?
No, but we need to do something. We need to set some kind of bylaw, some kind of rules.
Yeah,
The same, I mean, if you wanna put this in on that meeting for
Let's put that on
roads, driveway culverts. We need a discussion on that, we need a policy on it. Whether we replace them when they're all rotted out or whatever. I mean,
there was a policy on that
there
a
was.
while ago.
Right.
Did we not, did we get rid of it?
No.
I haven't seen no policy, I don't know. I've been telling people, no, we don't take care of them, because we didn't put them in. You had other people put them in, so we don't take care of it.
Right, I think the initial was they install their culverts and the town maintains them.
Yeah, well, then they started doing them themselves, and they never got installed properly, but they got it in, so then it became the town's problem all the time.
Right,
Certain ones.
okay. And there was something written in there, if, you see fit and the town has a liability there, and you have a responsibility to fix it.
Well, I guess we need some bylaws pretty quick.
And there is, I saw some literature, and it was years ago, because we went
We
through
may
this.
wanna change that, because that's being responsible for all the culverts and driveways.
I
and
think it
it's-
needs
Well,
to be
especially now, I mean,
Taco truck.
this lady called me tonight, she called me from,
Minnesota, no,
no,
New Mexico.
New Mexico, and they own a place down there on the Forest Point Road, and it's an old farmhouse, it's probably one of the older houses in town. And she, wanted to know if we could do it, and I said, well, the policy is that we're not replacing driveway culverts anymore, and it would be up to her. Now, she didn't have a problem with that, and I'm looking at, okay, this used to be a state road, and it's got an old steel culvert in it, we know that she didn't put it in, but the other problem that comes to it is her driveway now, all the water goes right down in, so her driveway needs to be built up a little bit. So it's a lot more than just a $2,500 culvert now, because we gotta bring all this up, because it dives right straight down. So we need to put in some kind of policy that, so like, I can be consistent on telling people, yes, we will, no, we won't.
I thought there was a policy, written policy that said years ago the town was not responsible for your driveway culvert.
I've been told two different things.
Is that something?
Well, whatever we have, we should probably dig it out, make sure that there's not something that goes against it, and,
Update it,
Dust
update
it
it.
off.
yeah.
Christine, how do you feel about burrowing through the files?
Fantastic.
I know you love it. Could you do that by Monday?
Yeah, I'm gonna work on it tomorrow.
Okay, great.
So I have a question, the truck size, what are we looking for?
How does a citizen know what 24,000
Flag 'em
ton
down.
truck
Wait,
is or
how-
whatever?
First of
Well,
all,
I
oil
just-
trucks are exempt, so
We
don't
need
start
it.
The
calling
oil
them
trucks are all,
down.
all set.
Oil trucks are okay.
So what is a truck size that we're looking for?
What about the big Hammond lumber truck
Garbage trucks,
making a
no.
delivery?
No,
It's loaded.
they need to call first and get permission
Okay.
and be told that if it's under 32 degrees or whatever. Most of
Yes, I
your,
want to check the temperature.
mostly any of your trucks, because it's 26,000 pounds. So anything you see with a box truck, 1 tons, we can let them go. But that's basically anything bigger than a 1 ton, they should not be out there. Now, that's only if the road's posted.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be posting this road down here at the end of the Forest Point Road, but that doesn't mean that you can't go up there, it's just, I don't want people coming all the way up to here and see the signs and have to turn around.
Sure.
So,
So,
Agreed.
if it's 32 degrees, it pauses the post?
below
Less?
32.
So as long as the weather's less than 32 degrees, there's a pause on any posting and all.
For a certain amount of time, it's kind of tricky, because that's what the signs say, but there's sometimes where, okay, it's 32 degrees, we'll go, well, it was 32 for maybe an hour, and it's, when it
No, no, no.
when it gets to a certain point, you're just gonna say, there's no more travel on that, please,
I'm just trying to understand truly what the,
If you're riding down the road, you see water coming out of the cracks, that's called bleeding. That means the frost is coming up underneath the tire, coming out, and it's making the road soft.
That's why
That
I
help
don't
you?
want the heavy truck on it.
yeah, no, I was just trying to.
No, I'm just trying to help them out.
So I'll just lay down in front of them when they're coming?
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that, I mean,
Not more than once.
I know just down Sabino, you had a lot of truck traffic here.
We do have a lot, we do have a lot of truck traffic there, so I'm trying to figure out what.
Yeah, and they were all triaxles loaded, and that, they were brave going across that swamp.
Food for thought. The road commissioner and I discussed culverts almost 5 years ago. A lot. Do you remember that? You were very informative. If the road is, if the town is going to ditch the runoff on the sides of the road, what do you call that?
Ditching.
You're gonna ditch the ditch. And it's going to the culvert. Someone there needs to be some reasonable discussion about what, if you're gonna ditch the ditch and it's gonna make a whole lot more water go through the culvert or be lower than the culvert and then create a gully under the culvert, that sort of thing. It needs to, it's not just a simple little answer, I don't think. My little street, we did in fact throw down $10,000 and fix our street and replace our culvert, but, you know, you gotta be careful, the town
And that was
isn't.
caused from ditching?
Oh, I'm not saying it was.
I know that little street,
I'm not a-
I didn't get that.
I'm not a soils engineer, but, you know, it is something to think about, so as you go through that
There
process.
was that thing
Just,
that had no less than a 15-inch culvert, and then again, we live on the coast of Maine
Yeah,
and Bath, and sometimes you just can't get, you have to fight to get a 12-inch culvert in there.
Right, that's what the entrance permit's all about, is for you to make that determination.
Exactly.
yeah.
We have an
You're
entrance.
thinking about all that, that's all.
And most 95% of the time, like in circumstances, you really, on that culvert going across your road, you don't have any say in that. That's all on the town's land, the ditching
Yeah,
and all that, so.
well, we bought it, got a new one, got it put in. So
this
it's
is
something to
concrete
think about,
policies and procedures.
you know? Some sort of a defined policy, you know, considering all of
Every
that.
place is gonna have a different
That's right.
situation,
You
Yeah.
catch on
so
quick.
it's kinda hard to define these.
I know. Never ending.
We'll, I'm sure, have some more time for discussing the culverts. They seem to be a perennial discussion.
Well, especially these time of years, most of them, people are complaining about right now, it froze up with ice. So they think that culvert's bad,
Well,
but that's because it's
Steve,
just.
can't you keep the culvert from freezing? I mean, come on.
Get out there with this candle at night.
I can't at the
Old
time,
timey
it's
ranch.
right.
And I expect that you are going to,
Not yet.
I expect that you're going to take care of heating every culvert in town. Okay, thank you. I move to enter executive session pursuant to 1 MRS 4056A to discuss a personnel matter. And a second, please.
I got one more thing.
Oh,
Please, Wing Farm infrastructure,
going to be on the agenda for the workshop on the 2nd.
Mhm.
okay,
Because
I have it as item number 4.
okay, good, just checking, I've been trying the last few months to
well,
get it on there, we're rolling up to a couple of years, I just wanna make sure we don't forget about it.
I know
Okay.
you won't let us.
Alright, fair enough.
Okay, I had made a motion to enter executive as second. All in favor? All right.
Okay.
Um,